All right, so let's start in child's pose or any shape that works for you. So just coming into a nice comfortable position to get started. No specific props really that you'll need for today. Just anything you usually like to have. I find the blocks come in really handy. And start to tap into your breath. Notice if there are any sort of fidgets or movements that you feel like you need just to kind of settle into your shape. Begin to allow all your pieces to join you here in this particular moment. Acknowledging how you feel and meeting yourself as you are. Acknowledging the earth, the ground beneath your body, and the land that you're on. And when and if you're ready, you can begin to find your ujjayi pranayam, that little whispering sound at the back of the throat. A rhythmic breath that will help to keep you present in your body. And it's always welcome to bring in any particular intentions that you may have for your practice. And one of them is that it's just to be present with your body, to meet yourself as you are, wherever that might be today. So when you feel the call to begin to move, you can come up through hands and knees and start working through some cat and cows. If you're feeling like you need a little more time to rest in child's pose, that's perfect. Just be with your breath there. Wherever you are, I'm just going to invite you to have your eyes closed so that you're not thinking so much about what you're supposed to be doing, but just feeling into your body and what it might need. Cat and cow is highly interpretable. Okay, you can add circles, side to side motion. You can go faster or slower. Maybe you're already feeling like you want to come up into downward dog. Maybe you want to go back into child's pose. All of that is great. Just letting all those parts of your body begin to talk to you. And from here, if you're comfortable coming to your belly, you can come all the way forward and just take a couple of cobras. These can be really simple. I'm going to take strange cobra, fingertips just off the mat to the right and to the left, a little ahead, pointing the toes. Just on the inhale, gently lifting the chest, any amount, and exhaling to fold down. Just a gentle warm up for the lower back. And then from there, making our way back into hands and knees and then downward dog if that feels like it's going to work for you today. So I like my hands nice and wide for downward dog, a little bit ahead of where they would be for hands and knees. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips, soft elbows, soft knees, and you can certainly move into this as well. I usually like bending one knee at a time. Again, eyes can be closed, especially if you're more comfortable in this pose, and just kind of exploring what feels right for you here. I tend to be someone that likes to move a lot within the postures, but that isn't better than being still. If you're finding that being still is working for you, that's great too. Again, with your eyes closed, it's not so much about what you're supposed to be doing right now. but just feeling into what your body wants and needs. Okay, and then when that feels complete for you, we can walk forward to a standing forward bend. Feet hips distance, or they could be wider. You could rest your elbows on bent knees. You could hang down over your legs. You could be up on fingertips. Notice if you can let your neck relax. Again, moving around if you would like to. This can be a really nice place to bend one knee at a time. And then we'll slowly roll up, bending the knees and stacking the bones. And of course, if that doesn't work for you, come up any way that does. When you get to the top, collecting the shoulders onto the back. Soften your knees. And I'm going to invite a little bit more intuitive movement here, okay? And the place where we'll start with this is shaking. Your eyes can be open or soft. And just start with a little bit of shaking. So this is, again, highly interpretable. Okay, you might be jumping up and down, or it might just be a little bit of a bend and straighten of the knees. I used to belly dance, so I like to do a shimmy. Right, and just seeing what feels good. And just kind of imagine that you're shaking off anything that is not useful for you. So any thoughts that are bugging you that you know are not useful, any energies you might have picked up from someone else. And again, just move with it as you like. Move your arms. If you're playing music, you could even just straight up dance. Just shaking off whatever it is. You don't even need to know logically what it is, just letting it go to the earth below you. And just this shaking for a couple of minutes, it can be so beneficial for resetting the nervous system, calming the body, and just letting go of things. Like if there's anything that needs to be let go of, it can really help. We'll just take a couple more breaths here. This is adapted from Qigong. It's an energy work practice a lot like yoga. And then when that feels complete for you, just slow down. Eventually returning to stillness and just receive that. Notice anything you notice about it. And then bring your hands together to touch in front of your heart. And let's flow, reaching your arms up to the sky as you inhale. Exhale, melt over your legs. A halfway lift as you inhale, and then step your right foot behind you and lower your knee down. Heart and hands rise, coming into a low lunge, gently pressing the hips forward. And then downward facing dog, connect the palms, step back. Come forward into a plank on or off your knees. You might be doing a little cat and cow here. You might be coming all the way down, pointing the toes and taking a little cobra, just keeping your hands by your low ribs, and then press back to downward dog. On an inhale, right leg is going to rise to the sky as high as you want, and then step it between your hands. It can help to lift up the left heel. Back knee lowers, heart and hands rise, low lunge. And then to the top of your mat as you exhale, feet beside each other. Halfway lift and fold. Bend your knees, rising all the way up. Exhale all the way down. Lengthen up halfway. And then step your left foot back. Heart and hands rise into your lunge. And then downward facing dog. So vinyasa, coming forward to plank. Lower down all the way, or maybe you're doing a little push up there. And then pulling through into your back bend. Cow pose, upward dog, cobra, those are all good options. And then downward facing dog. Left leg will rise on your inhale. And step it through. Coming into your lunge, heart and hands rise. And then forward bend to the top of your mat. Lengthen. And melt. And bend your knees, rising all the way up. And as you exhale, bring the hands to touch in front of your heart. And begin again. Inhale, rise. And fold. Lengthen. Right foot back. This could always be a high lunge here as well. Heart and hands rise. And downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Lower down. Press back up, cobra or upward dog, or cow pose. Right leg will rise when you return to downward dog. And through. Inhale nice and long through the sides of the waist. And then forward bend. Lengthen. And melt. Then the knees rising all the way up. And diving down. Halfway low. Left foot back. Inhale. Downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. And lowering down, maybe a little push up there. It could be a very small push up. Pull through to your back bend, try to pull the shoulders down your back. And downward facing dog. Left leg rises to the sky. And through. Heart and hands rise. And to the top of the mat. Lengthen. And melt. And the knees rising all the way up. And bringing the hands together in front of the heart and taking a moment just to feel, to receive. Good, okay. Let's inhale. And as you exhale, bend your knees any amount, reach your arms forward and up, gently straighten the legs. And as you exhale, bend them again, bringing your fists to your hips. Inhale, rising up any amount, pressing into the heels. Exhale, sinking fists to hips. So we're not trying to go so far down that we're stressing out the knees, so not below, hips don't go below the knees, but just exploring how deep you'd like to go and how fast or slow as well. Maybe even on the exhale, it's an exhale at the mouth. Letting go. Inhale. Let's do one more. Stand on up and gently float the hands around behind your back. Interlace the fingers or hook the thumbs or just hands on hips. Hug the elbows, lift the heart. And gently opening the chest to the sky. And then fold down, bending the knees generously, letting the heart come to the thighs. Fists over your head. And then gently releasing the hands down the backs of the legs. And then we'll sit down. So you might be able to reach the arms forward, sit your bum down, no hands, and lay on your back. Okay, that might not be appropriate for you. You can bring the hands down, sit down, especially if you're pregnant, you'll just roll to your side first, and then we'll meet laying on our backs. Take a nice deep breath here, in through the nose, maybe out through the mouth. Okay, place your hands on your belly for now. Inhale. And then find your core. So just gently lifting the pelvic floor. Okay, the muscles around the genitals gather in and up. And imagine the hip points coming closer together, the belly button pressing up towards the heart. So everything is kind of gathering in, but the spine stays the same, okay? If you are rehabilitating your core, if you're feeling particularly tired today, or if you just know this one works for you, just stay right here and just work on lifting one leg at a time. So inhaling to lift the right foot, exhaling to put it down, and then the left. And then the work of that is just really keeping all of those muscles gathered in. You can even keep your hands on your belly. And make sure that they're not kind of popping up, but really gathering in. So that's a beautiful place to work. You can amp it up a little bit by interlacing your fingers around behind the back of the head and lifting your shoulder blades. Okay, if you're feeling like you've got a little more energy to work with today, you can send both of your legs up to the sky. And on the exhale, take your leg down. So this is my right leg. And then inhale, lifting it back up. And then the left leg down. So it's the same principle. You're just working with a little bit more weight. Wherever you are, gathering those core muscles and trying to really focus the work there. So it's not your jaw doing this, not your neck, it's your core. Just following your breath. And we're kind of looking to go to that place where we're just kind of at the edge of fatigue. So that place can be kind of different for everybody. So it's not that we need to do a certain count, but rather that we're just going to that place where we feel like, okay, yes, my muscles are working. I've activated them and they're just starting to fatigue. We don't want to go too far past that because we can get overwhelmed. At least right now in this class. Maybe there's another context where you want to do that. It's not my practice. Here, I'm just trying to really feel for my body's signals of when I've gotten to that place where, you know, I'm strengthening, but I'm not overwhelming. And I think for myself, I've got about 2 more each side. Check in with that for yourself. Maybe you want more, maybe you need a break right now. This will be my last one each side. And when, you know, for example, my jaw starts to clench, that's an indication for me that my muscles have had enough, okay? So I'm gonna release now. You can hug your knees into your chest. I often like a happy baby after core. So just widening the knees apart and rocking a little bit from side to side. And then we can send the legs up, give them a little bit of a shake, hug in, and then let's make our way back into downward facing dog. So if your back is healthy, you're not pregnant, you're feeling good, you can rock and roll forward and back, maybe even jump back through your vinyasa if you know how to do that. Okay, you certainly don't have to. You can also roll to your side, especially if you're pregnant, and make your way back to downward dog just in a way that's comfortable for you. And then take your favorite variation of vinyasa, which remember can be cat and cow. I'm coming to plank, lowering down, and then pressing up into upward facing dog, which I find is a nice one to just lengthen the core, at least the front of it, and then extend back to downward dog. Let's take a nice deep breath together. And then we'll meet at the top of the mat so you can walk. If you want to hop, go for it. And then roll up to standing, take your time. You may want to be still at the top. You may want to return to a little bit of that bouncing or shaking. You may want to turn your hands to your heart. Okay, and then pick up your toes, spread them apart, reconnect them, and kind of ground into the earth. Lean left, pick up your right leg behind you and just hold on to it. Hold on to your foot. Hug the knees a little bit together, tuck your tailbone down and get that lovely quadricep stretch in your right leg. Make sure you're not locking into your left knee. You could stay right here, or you can try dancer's pose, taking the right hand to the inner arch of your right foot. So the palm faces out. I like to bend my left knee even more and then start to press the foot and the hand away from each other. So we're trying to aim the heart and the hips roughly forward. We're not trying to open too much to the side. Keep your gaze steady on something that's not moving. Checking in with your balance, different every day. Inhale, and then very gently, if you can, land the foot back behind you and come into roughly a warrior two stance. But before we come into warrior two, I'm going to invite you to take a warrior one stance with your upper body. Okay, so what I mean by that is your front heel is in line with your back arch or heel to heel. So the hips are a little bit turned to the side, but allow there to be a little bit of a twist in the ribs forward. So you're reaching forward and up. This is just a different variation of warrior one. And as you ground that back heel into the mat, you might just feel that lengthening along your right hip flexor a little bit more. You could bend a bit deeper into your front knee. Inhale, and then go ahead and open up to warrior two. And if you find you need to adjust your stance again, you can. I'm turning my back toes a little bit more out. Soften the shoulders. Nice steady ujjayi. And then exalt your warrior. Let the right hand come down to the back leg, reach up and lean back. Beautiful, and then straighten your front leg, tip the hips back and come into triangle. So just very lightly with the left hand on the leg, turning the heart open towards the sky. And just make sure you have a micro bend in your left knee, you're not locking it. Hug the inner thighs a little bit towards each other just to kind of charge up the legs. But the hips are facing like the side-ish, slightly down. Inhale, and then gently make your way all the way back into three-legged downward facing dog. So palms connect, coming into the ball of your back foot, and then that front leg, left leg is going to go back and up into the sky behind you. You can open your hips. Some of you that are pretty comfortable here, you're feeling pretty good today. You can flip your dog if you want to, bringing the ball of the left foot down, coming onto the outer arch of the right foot and just adding this little bit of back bend, side bend. And then we all meet in downward dog. Go ahead and take that vinyasa as you like it. You could always do child's pose instead of the vinyasa here as well if you need a little break. Again, meet your body where it is. Maybe a sigh out the mouth when you return to downward dog. And let's take the right leg to the sky and step it through, coming into a low lunge this time. And you might want to pad your knee. We're going to be here a little bit longer than a breath. Okay, square your hips forward, draw your tailbone down and just gently press the hips forward to keep that length through the sides of your waist. Reach the arms up. Soften the shoulders down the back. Inhale, and then as you exhale, make a cactus shape with your arms. Okay, and then gently turn to the right, and then gently turn to the left. So you're keeping your hips as they are, you're just turning your cactus. from side to side. So you can inhale to one side and exhale to the other. You could go faster or slower than that. Maybe you've got that kind of internal beat that you're listening to. Doesn't have to be a deep twist, just rotating the upper spine. Again, try to keep the hips nice and steady. And then next time you turn to the right, take the left hand to the outer thigh, right hand to the lower back, lift the heart, and just lean back slightly more. That could be imperceptible, just offering the heart a bit to the sky. Inhale, and then as you exhale, come back up through center. Release the left hand to the ground on the outside of the leg, right arm up. So it's an open twist now. And then you could try lifting up your back knee if you want to. Hug the shoulders onto the back, open the heart to the sky. Inhale, and then bring the hands down to either side of the front foot. And feel free to use your blocks for this. We're going to come into strange pyramid. So you're going to keep your back heel lifted. I'm just bringing it up a little bit closer so that I'm shortening the stance slightly. Both of the legs straighten somewhat. Okay, and then you can keep your foot down like this, or you could try flexing the foot. It's going to feel a little bit different. Draw that right hip a little bit back, heart nice and long. You might fold forward, you might keep your heart up high. Breathe. Come back to that ujjayi if you've lost it. Inhale, and then gently soften the right foot to the earth and step the left foot up to meet it so that you're up at the top of your mat. Lengthen halfway, exhale to fold. Okay, I'm just gonna give you an option here. A couple of options. So again, depending on your energy level, I'm gonna give you something you can kind of amp up your practice a little bit in terms of energy. And I know that's not for everyone. So option one, you can stay here in your forward bend, just chill. Option two, you can come down into a squat. Option three, you can try crow with me, okay? So if you're gonna try crow with me, bring your big toes together to touch so your feet are nice and close. Place your palms down on the mat. You can bend your knees as much as you need to do this, a little ahead of your toes, and you might need to play a bit with the location of that specifically. Lift your heels up nice and high and widen your knees apart into a diamond shape. And then tuck your armpits, elbows, upper arm into your knees, just so that the knees are just to the outside of your arms. Squeeze the arms together with your knees, look way forward, lean into your hands, press your arms into your legs until your toes get lighter and see if they'll float. Hug your belly in. And then release. Let's meet in standing forward bend. Roll up. As you roll, make soft fists with your hands and just circle them. Again, when you return to the top, you might just be still. You might find you want to do some sort of fidgeting or shaking or other intuitive movement. There's so much wisdom in moving intuitively when we can allow ourselves to do that. The body often knows exactly what it needs to reset. And our work is really just about listening and allowing. Okay, lift up your toes, spread them apart, reconnect them to the earth. Soften your knees, lean to the right. Pick up your left foot so that you're holding onto it behind you. Right hand can come to your heart. Hug the knees together, draw the tailbone down, and press the foot and the hand a little bit into each other. This should feel like just a nice quadricep stretch. And if you're having one of those days with balance, okay, Feel free to hold a wall or a chair with your right hand to help you with that. I'm apparently having a day with balance. Ooh, wobbly. You can stay here or you can try dancer's pose, taking the left palm to face out, so you're holding the inner arch of the foot, bend the right leg, and begin to kick the foot into the hand. Reaching forward with the right hand. Breathe. Okay, inhale, and then gently step back into roughly a warrior two stance. So heel to heel alignment will probably be best here. And you might have the toes turned a fair amount forward. Okay. And then turn your upper body towards the front of your mat. So you're in a warrior one shape with the upper body. So this is actually one traditional alignment for warrior one. I normally do it a little bit differently, but every now and then I like the feeling of this twist in the spine. So just checking it out for yourself. Heavy in the tailbone, press that left heel into the mat. Inhale, and then gently open to warrior two. So I'm just going to allow my back toes to turn a little bit more open, and I'm slightly lengthening my stance. So I'm doing a little negotiation between those different kinds of warrior one. Here we've got the hips mostly facing the side wall or mat, the knee over the ankle for sure, shoulders soft. And then exalt the warrior, reach up with your right hand, nice and light, with the left hand on the back leg. And then triangle, straightening the front leg, allowing the hips to tip back a little bit, soften that front knee. You might need to shorten your stance a little bit, see how it goes for you. Right hand nice and light on the shin, heart open. Inhale, and then gently swim back to three-legged downward facing dog. So you're going to connect your palms, right leg goes back and up into the sky behind you, and you can stay here. This is a great pose in and of itself. If you're feeling it, you did it on the other side. You can allow your right foot to fall behind you. I just like to step my left hand a little farther forward when I do that, so I have a little more room for my shoulder there. Left leg is straight, glutes are working. Inhale, and then gently back to downward dog, and take the vinyasa that serves you in this particular moment, which might be child's pose, okay? Could be cat and cow. Could be shaking. Could be dancing, right? Whatever it is for you, it's perfect. Okay, from downward dog, so come on up if you've been in child's pose. Left leg is gonna rise to the sky. And then step your foot through and come into a nice low lunge. And again, you may wanna pad the knee. You can even double fold your mat if you don't have a block. Okay, drawing the tailbone down, hips squaring, heart to the sky, arms to the sky, shoulders soft. And rather than trying to really press your hips as far forward as you can, I want you to think more so about lengthening the tailbone and gathering the ribs in. So you're a little more upright, but you still feel that kind of scooping so that you can feel your hip flexor starting to release. Inhale, and then gently come into a cactus shape, and we'll begin to twist from side to side. So this might be really slow, it might be a little bit faster. Okay, try to keep your lower body nice and steady. Just your upper body moving. See how your breath wants to go with it. And it's okay to come out of the Ujjayi rhythm if you want to explore a different kind of breath. For example, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. That's a little more of a Kundalini style breath. Be gentle with your back. We'll squeeze and release for the spine. Okay, and then next time you twist to the left, take your right hand to the outer thigh, left hand to the lower back, lift your heart and just lean back a little bit. It doesn't have to be far. It's a very slight twist, a little bit of an offering of the heart to the sky. Inhale, and then right hand, fingertips or palm off the mat, left arm up, and you can lift up the back knee if that serves you. I often like the back knee lifted here. I find it just gives my hips a little more space, but it is a little bit more muscular. I'm sort of using more of my leg muscles. Just check in with yourself. You can always change it later. Inhale, and then gently release your hands to either side of your front foot, and don't be afraid to use those blocks. And I'm going to step my back foot in just a little bit, and then lift my bum nice and high so that my legs are straightening, my back heel is high, okay? And then I could flex the front foot. And I want to just draw that left hip a little bit back. So it's a slight tilt, actually. It's not exactly square. Depending on your hips, my hips are pretty mobile, so it'll go a little farther than square. So just think about drawing that left hip back and you'll probably feel it when I'm talking about that stretch in the outer part of the leg. I'm keeping my chest up high. You could fold down. I just find it's actually harder to balance. Inhale, and then softly step back to the top of the mat. Lengthen up halfway. Exhale and melt. Okay. So take a nice deep breath here. And I'm going to offer crow one more time today for those of you that feel like you have a little more energy to work with. If you're not in that state today, that's fine. You can be folded forward, or you can come down through a squat and just be in this shape, okay? If you're going to take crow, you'll often see crow taught from a squat, but I actually prefer to start it from a forward bend because I want my butt actually really high up when I'm coming in. And I like my toes together touching because for me, squeezing the toes together actually helps with my crow so much. So I'm going to lift my heels, bend my knees, plant my palms, and widen my knees apart. And then I actually like to walk my hands under my shins. I'm getting my knees just outside my arms as high as I can because I know they'll slide down. I'm leaning forward and then it's drawing the belly in, pressing the toes together, looking forward, and then everything kind of comes into a suspension. Beautiful. And then gently release out into your forward bend or your squat. Take a nice deep breath wherever you are. And again, if you're working with lots of energy today, you want to keep flowing. Let's add one more vinyasa. Okay, so you can come back into downward dog and flow through as you like. I'm going to stay right here in my squat personally. But if you land in downward dog, that's perfect. The next place that we are all going to go is hands and knees, okay? So to come to hands and knees from squat, I'm going to lift my bum, parallel my feet, and then just kick my feet back so I can come to hands and knees. And then let's release the wrists briefly before we go further. So you can sit on your heels or the ground or a prop or whatever works for you, stand on your knees. Okay, and then as you inhale, spread the fingers really nice and wide. And as you exhale, curl the fingers down so that you feel a nice stretch in the backs of your wrists. You'll probably need this, especially if you just did crow. It's obviously a lot of weight on the wrists. Inhale, widening. Exhale, curling. Inhale. And curl. Do one more. And then hold the curl for a couple of breaths. Okay. Release your hands. You can give them a little roll. And I'm going to give one last option to those of you that, again, you're feeling you've got some energy, or you just like this. Okay. I'm going to offer a teddy bear headstand. And of course, I know that this isn't for everyone, so I'm going to give an alternative as well. And actually, the alternative I quite like is child's pose. Child's pose is actually an inversion. It has a lot of the benefits of a headstand, but obviously less pressure on the neck and the head. So feel free to take that, or you could try, as many stages of this as you feel comfortable, and then just come out if you feel like it's a little too much. For teddy bear headstand, if you want to take it into full headstand, you can go to a wall. But the problem I have with the wall is that sometimes when the wall is there, we're tempted to touch it. And in teddy bear headstand, that'll actually take us right out of alignment. So it'll actually cause us to fall out. So, I mean, it can be good to have it there, but maybe it's better to think of it as somersaulting out if you lose your balance, okay? That might make more sense in a moment. So to come into this shape, if you want to try it, you put your palms on the ground and your head on the ground, okay? And then you want to look with your eyes and make sure that your elbow is right over top of your wrist, and you have this nice stable forearm straight up and down. This is not straight up and down. This is not straight up and down, okay? It's nice and steady physically. It's a physics thing. It's a structure, right? Knees are down, and then the crown of the head, it's just right on the top of the head. Feel free to double roll your mat if you want. Okay, and then the lower body looks a little bit like crow, but it has some key differences. Obviously, the head is on the ground, okay? You're gonna lift your knees and put them on your elbows. So this is different from crow. It's a different alignment, but you would have your big toes pressing into each other just like crow. You draw your belly in and see if you can bring your heels to your bum. If you wanna go further, you stick your bum up and start to press your legs to the sky. And the final headstand is a slight pike. Okay, it's hard to talk from there, so I'm gonna come out. Okay, so the final headstand shape is a slight pike. That means your feet are a little ahead of you rather than straight up and down like in some other headstands. That's why if you touch the wall, you're going to be totally out of alignment, essentially. That's what that is, okay? So feel free to play with that. You're more than welcome to keep your knees on your elbows. That's teddy bear headstand. That's perfect. And when you're ready, you just come on down into child's pose. We'll all meet there. And then from child's pose, we'll make our way to laying on our back. So you can roll up to seated if you like, or you can come to your belly and flip over. Either is fine. Bring your hips to one side and gently lay yourself down on your back. I love bridge pose after headstand, especially that one. It's a really nice way of lengthening the back of the neck as we open up the spine. You can bring your elbows beside your ribs, fingertips point up to the sky. Heels underneath the knees. Gently engage the belly, but you don't need to tuck your tailbone, just lift your hips up. Press the elbows down and apart. Hug the inner thighs a bit together. And you can stay there or try interlacing your fingers under your body, pressing the length of your arms down into the earth, and push the floor a little bit away. And then gently release down onto your back, release your arms, Let the knees fall in or out and take a few deep breaths just to receive that. Soften your jaw and your neck if you can. We'll take one more. And if you'd like, you can take this into wheel. Okay, I'll give you some instructions for that. I don't think I'm going to go up myself. I'm going to wait and see how it feels when I get there, but I'll talk you through it. So elbows by the ribs, fingertips point up to the sky, heels underneath the knees, press into the feet, lift the hips, press the elbows down and apart, interlace the fingers. Okay, once you feel yourself in your bridge, you can stay right here or try wheel. To do that, you would release the hips a little bit and place the palms beside your ears, fingers pointing in. I like to widen my feet a little bit. Again, hips are low. I'm pulling the mat towards me a bit as I come to the crown of my head. Widen the hands a bit, work the arms towards straight. Hug the inner thighs, and then push the floor away again. Relax the head. Try to stay for about 5 breaths if you can. When you're ready, chin into chest. Come down onto your shoulders if you're in wheel and just gently release down to your back. Knees fall in or out. Arms can be open out to the sides or up over the head. And just let your breath be free for now. From here, let's take the feet about mat's distance apart and let them fall to the right. Open the arms out to the sides if they haven't already. And just bobble your head to the left so you can rock back and forth a couple times. Okay, you can stay here, or your left leg, you can bring it on top of the right, maybe even a little closer to your chest, and just hold it with the right hand and just deepen that twist a little bit, if that feels good. Gently release the foot back to where it was. Bring the knees up to center so the feet are either side of the mat, and then just drop the knees to the left. So it's a nice open twist to start. Nice deep breaths into the belly. So you don't need ujjayi as much when you are laying on the earth. Your spine is supported, so you can let the breath be a little more free. Okay, you can stay or take your right leg. So that's going to be your top leg, and just bring it in a little bit closer. So that's going to change the experience of the twist for you. If it feels good, that's great. If it doesn't, just go back to the previous version. And then gently release so that your feet are either side of the mat again. And take a few windshield wipers from side to side. You could also hug your knees into your chest if you like. Okay. So we're going to move into some hip opening from here. Those of you that know you love thread the needle the most, just stay laying on your back and you can do thread the needle. Otherwise, you can roll to one side and come up to a seat with me. And you may want to sit on a little piece of support. Okay, nice and simple is Sukhasana. Okay, so the legs are crossed, like sitting cross-legged on the floor. Or just see if you can bring the feet and the legs and the knees, sorry, a little closer together. So it's a bit more of a box shape. Adjust according to your legs and knees, okay? Wherever you are is fine. And just notice which leg is in front, okay? If you're comfortable with it, you can stack the shins. So some people's hips work well in that direction, others do not. If it feels good, you can try it like this. Again, the heels and the knees are kind of right in line with each other. Sitting up nice and tall, you might already be feeling this. Maybe you can fold forward. And just breathing generously into this. Okay, and when that feels complete, just very gently rise back up. Release the legs. You might want to do a windshield wiper here, washing the knees side to side, or you could straighten the legs out and do a windshield wiper just with the feet. And then cross your other leg in front. Okay, so this is my left leg. That's I usually cross my right leg in front. So this is going to be the way that feels a little bit unfamiliar. Sukhasana with the shins crossed or stacked. Okay, knees and feet in line with each other. Keep the feet gently flexed. That helps protect the knee. Sitting up nice and tall, and maybe just a slight lean forward. I'm definitely already feeling it here. There might be room for you to fold forward somewhat. This might be totally different from the first side. That's okay. Just breathe into what's happening for you. There's no need to force or push. And Ujjayi might serve you here. Okay, but if you're not doing Ujjayi, just a deep breath is helpful. Okay, lovely. So when you're ready, just gently rolling up, release the legs. Again, you can do a bent knee, windshield wiper, or you can extend the legs and wobble them. And then I'll invite you to take one last pose before Shavasana. If you're ready for Shavasana, that's fine. Anything that's symmetrical and calming for you, okay? I'm gonna take wide-legged forward bend. So if you're not sure, just come with me. Legs comfortably wide, they don't have to be anything too crazy, where you can flex the feet. It's okay to have a bend in your knees. Okay, sitting up nice and tall. Again, a slight tilt forward might be enough. You might have room to come down a little bit further. There's no rush, there's no particular goal here. Just getting to that place where you feel like there's some opening. And then breathe. And you can stay in that last shape just as long as you'd like. When you're ready to come up out of the pose, you can roll up. I'm kind of wobbling my legs together gently. And then we'll come to Shavasana. So Shavasana is just however you're most comfortable. Classically, it's just laying on the back with the limbs kind of splayed. Some people really like a bolster under the knees. You could always lay on your side or come to a seat. If laying on your back feels good, but your back is a bit sensitive, you could keep your knees bent and rest them against each other. When you find your spot, take a nice deep breath. and receive the nectar of your practice. And then take a moment to notice how you're feeling right now. If you have the time and you'd like to stay here, you're welcome to. Otherwise, you can begin to gently bring some breath and some gentle movement into your body. Trusting what feels right, maybe a wiggle, maybe a stretch. Eventually gathering your knees in and rolling to one side. And we'll meet up in a seat. Hands together in front of your heart or over top or wherever feels most right for you today. And in meeting yourself as you are today, just take a moment to honor yourself, your body, your mind, your heart. Honoring and acknowledging the long and complex lineage of teachers that is with us in our practice. Honoring and acknowledging the sacredness of the land and honoring each other. Thank you for sharing this practice today.